Hey guys, and welcome to Let's Play Tetris Attack on the Super Nintendo. So Tetris Attack is a pretty fun little game. It's obviously a puzzling type, as stated by the name, but in all actuality, the similarities to Tetris are actually relatively minor, really. I guess they just kind of wanted to cash in on the name of the franchise or something, I don't know. But as you can see by the copyright dates down at the bottom, 1995 and 96, this game was released pretty much at the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan. So because of that, it's overlooked by a lot of people and maybe didn't really, get the attention it deserved because of that. It seems like a lot of good games fall into that trap. But to this day, it still remains a really fun game that I can just pick up at pretty much any point in time and, use it to kill some time and have some fun. So if you're into the puzzling type stuff, I'd recommend you definitely check this game out. It's loads of fun once you get into it. Alright, so these are all the one-player modes. Basically, the only one we're going to focus on is Versus mode here, because it's pretty much the main story mode, the meat of the game, so to speak. And everything else is kind of just supplemental, doing the same thing but with minor variations. So Versus mode is where it's really at. We're actually going to hop into Endless here for a minute, just so I can kind of slow things down and give you guys a little bit of a tour of what's going on here, I suppose. Because once we jump into Versus mode, things are going to get really fast and really crazy, so it's good that we can slow it down here a little bit and kind of show you what's going on. So as you can see, there's a bunch of blocks here, pretty obvious. We are in control of this little cursor. We can use it to swap blocks around, and blocks are always perpetually rising from the bottom. If they hit the top, it's game over. Pretty standard stuff, pretty easy to figure out, right? Okay, so basically the main idea of this game is we get clear blocks here by getting 3 of them together, and of course there are other things you can do like getting more than 3 together, like 4, or 5, or 6, or 9, or however many you want, assuming you can set it up right. And that's called doing a combo, and then you can also do what are called chains by clearing like 3 blocks here, then having one fall down and clear again instantly. So basically, learning how to do combos and chains are very helpful because they, number one, they stop your stack from rising, giving you time to clear things up if you're in a little bit of trouble. And number 2, in Versus mode, that's also how you're going to attack the enemy, so it's very vital that you learn how to do both of those. And once you get good enough, you can sort of like build up your chains, with enough practice. And, integrate them with combos and stuff, and clear out a whole bunch, and we're going to get a decent chain here. Well, that was alright. 4's pretty good. And of course, if you do good enough, you get a little fanfare to make you feel good about yourself, I suppose. But, then clear your blocks out while the stack is stopped, and you're pretty much ready to go again. So, alright, now that we kind of know the general idea about what we're doing here, let's go ahead and hop into Versus mode and cancel out of here. Alright, so we're obviously going to be starting a new game, and as you may be able to see, there are 3 different difficulties to pick from, but in all reality, there's actually a 4th hidden one, and that one's the difficulty we're going to play on. It's called Super Hard. Woohoo. Alright, so to activate it, you highlight Hard, hold up L and A, then the screen turns red, letting you know that you have entered Super Hard mode successfully. Howdy there, welcome back to Yoshi's Island. Oh no, Bowser and his friends are at it once again. Using magic, he started the rains, a regular deluge. He even cast a spell on most of my friends. If nothing is done, the world will be flooded. Luckily, his spell didn't work on me, and I figured out how to remove the spell. The time has come to defeat Bowser and his cronies. Yeah, this game is not heavy on story, obviously. I mean, it's definitely not designed to be, but basically that's the general gist. Bowser's put a spell over all of Yoshi's friends, which in all actuality are mostly consist of enemies from Super Mario World 2, in fact, but I don't know, I guess they're friends in this game for some reason, but... Alright, so as you can see, there are now 2 of us. Of course, I'm playing against the computer here, and pretty obviously the goal is just to make him lose before we do. And whenever we do combos or chains... Oh, wait, we got a good one here. Alright, 7. I think that'll do the job pretty well. As you can see, we just dropped a huge big blue block on him, and that's what happens whenever you get combos and chains. Of course, the bigger the chain or combo, the bigger the block, and basically by dropping a lot of those, you can make the enemy lose pretty quickly, so... obviously building up big chains and big combos are what we're going to be going for here. Alright, so Lakitu and Goonie have been freed, and as you can see, they've now been added to our little roster down there, so of course the rest of the slots correspond to characters we're going to be battling here. So next up is the Glacial stage with Bumpty and Dr. Freezegood. And you may remember Dr. Freezegood. You may not know the name off the top of your head, but actually both Bumpty and Dr. Freezegood are enemies from Super Mario World 2. So, you know, like I said, these guys are pretty familiar, and if you've seen them before, that's probably where. Of course, Super Mario World 2 has always kind of been one of my favorite games, so I have a little special memories, I suppose. Okay, and something else that's worth noting is that this game is very hard to play and talk at the same time. So, that's the case with a lot of games out there, and this is definitely one of them. So, if I end up, like, not making sense or just sort of trailing off in the middle of my sentences or repeating myself a lot, then you'll just have to forgive me for that because I'm trying to concentrate on what's going on. Super hard difficulty is obviously, you know, no pushover by any means, so you always want to be on top of your game here. Of course, the first couple stages really aren't that difficult. You know, it makes sense because they're the first ones, but, you know, by the time we get to the end, the computer's going to be absolutely merciless. It's going to be pretty crazy. Okay, so we freed Bumpty and Dr. Freezegood. They're added to our list, and we can now move on to the third stage, which is the forest stage with Poochie and Grinder. Alright, you remember Poochie, right? He was one of the helper buddies in Super Mario World 2. You know, he would bat at eggs and be adorable and get us across little spiky pits. So, I guess this guy is actually worth saving after all, huh? I didn't really have anything good to set up there. Alright, come on now. We need to get some offense going. Okay. Not really doing too well to start out here, but that kind of happens sometimes. Sometimes it takes me a little while to get some offense going, so hopefully they just don't kill me before that happens, right? I couldn't get one there. Alright, we need to be clearing the garbage blocks. I didn't really mention it, but you probably figured out you clear the garbage blocks by making a clear regular blocks that touches the garbage blocks, and that'll get rid of them. So, you know, obviously clearing those out is pretty vital to your survival, especially later on. The computers will pretty much just lay them on without end. So, it can be, basically, it's good to start out with really, really offensive-minded, you know, trying to get a good chain or set of combos to sort of start things off. But once you get a little bit later on and they start getting a little bit more offensive themselves, it's also good to take time out to make sure you clear those things off. Okay, so this is the flower stage with Flying Wiggler and Egod Dill. And Egod Dill is, of course, the little flower that shoots its petals at you. I remember those pretty vividly. I got hit by those quite a lot, so I don't know. I'm not too happy to see them, I suppose, but I didn't really see anything I could do there. And then also another thing to note is I am definitely not a pro at this game or anything. I mean, I like to consider myself at least decent, but I really wouldn't put myself in a league above that. I mean, if a true pro were watching this right now, he'd probably be screaming his head off telling me what I'm doing wrong, so, you know, just keep that in mind, I suppose. It's going to get actually really challenging for me at the end, so I may have to concentrate a little bit more. Alright, come on now. We need to get something going here. We've been way too docile. I just can't seem to find anything. Oh, here we go. Alright, that'll do the job nicely. So what I've kind of noticed Wiggler likes to do is he'll sometimes just sort of sit there and bide his time for a while, you know, just clearing out a few things, and if he's got any garbage block, taking care of those. But then he'll almost, like, suddenly have a big spurt of offense and make you, like, go mad trying to clear off these garbage blocks off the screen. So, always definitely be on the lookout. Try not to let your stat get too high with this guy. And also, as the match drags on, the blocks actually start to rise a little bit faster. So, if you're not really that great at, you know, keeping your stack managed, it's probably a good idea to try to just end it as fast as possible. Alright, we got something else going here. Ah, couldn't really continue it past that. Alright, we're definitely in good shape now. But still, you know, just because these guys look to be at the top of the screen over there, you shouldn't let up. You should still try to keep your offense going. Because, you know, if you just keep piling it on, then they won't have any time to do anything to you. So not only does it help you with your defense, but it keeps them on their toes all the time, too. So being offensive-minded helps out quite a bit here. Alright, so we freed Flying Wiggler and Egod Dill, and that fills up the first row in our little roster there. And of course, from here on out, the game's going to get noticeably harder. Next up is the water stage with Froggy and Clawdaddy. Clawdaddy is, of course, the big lobster that spun its pinchers around at you and was really annoying. So, yeah, nothing really there either. Alright, might have something. Oh yeah, we got something, alright. Oh no, there's not another green block in that entire thing. I don't believe that. If there was just one green block, I could have had like a, I don't know, like a 7 or 8 chain there. It would have been awesome, but oh well. I guess it's good enough as it is. Alright, so we're doing quite well against this guy. It's always nice to get off to a good start. Let's bring it up a little bit more and just try to find every little thing that we can. Oh, there we go, we don't have to. Alright, so it only took 43 seconds. That actually went rather well. Usually it's around this part that I find the game starts getting noticeably harder. Especially with this next guy coming up, actually. So we've freed Froggy and Clawdaddy. And now we're going to move on to the next stage, which is one of my favorites, actually. This is the Blaze stage with Gargantua, Blarg, and Flamer Guy.